Okay. Hello. We're doing our intake interview with Frank. Say hello, Frank.
Hello.
So, this is Days Till Dragon Con. Tell us what you're working on.
We'll get
All these
started.
things.
My name's Frank Perselli. Online I go by the Wicked Taylor. Uh, and for Days for Dragon Con, I am working on a pretty elaborate costume. It's only one costume, and there's other people that are working on multiple ones.
Right.
Working on one. It is going to be a steampunk version of a character, a DC character called Necron, the leader of the Black Lantern Corps.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. So,
Yeah, this costume, I've actually never seen it done before. I've scoured online to see if anybody's actually ever done just an actual version of this character.
mhm.
Never found anything. So I'm sort of doing a steampunk version. It originally started out, the reason I'm doing this is there is a very large steampunk lantern corps group that's forming. It's actually a secret group online on Facebook. There's roughly about 30 members right now, and everybody is representing one of the colors of the lantern corps, from like Green Lantern, Red Lantern, Orange Lantern, etc.
Mhm.
In some sort of steampunk form. We'll all be a Dragon Con, and this was just the character that I'm picking for us.
Wow. So, is it because of the group that you picked the costume, or is it something that you already had in your head and the group?
I kind of had it in my head. I like the character when the comics had come out. This
Mhm.
comic that came out, it's not too old. It's from the Blackest Night series from the Green Lantern comics.
Okay.
Uh, I kind of like playing bad guys sometimes. I don't know if that has to do with my personality. I'm not sure, but um, it sort of was drawn to the character, and I saw it as being something that I could possibly mold into my own creation. I like doing some steampunk things, so I figured I might be able to like Victorianize this character.
Awesome. So, you've also done steampunk Iron Man.
Yes, most of my actual past costumes have been some sort of a steampunk variation of something. I'm actually starting to phase out steampunk. It's sort of funny. I'm getting back to my original roots of cosplaying, comic book characters, things of that nature. Steampunk was kind of nice. I plan on still doing some things that are steampunk, but it gives you a little bit more of a artistic ability to express yourself in various means. You don't have to copy and character exactly. You can sort of put in your own input where you want to.
That's cool. So what is kind of making you move away from steampunk?
Um, the community is extremely small, and the following of the people. Um, I've pretty much gotten to a point in the community in the country that I can't really do much else with it.
Mm.
Can't really get known for it any better than I've already been. If anybody that is into steampunk probably will say the same thing. It's a pretty tight knit group of people. Everybody knows everyone else, and I'm just sort of getting drawn out of it because I want to get into different things. I'm kind of getting sick of doing Victorian clothing with vests, top hats, stuff like that. I want to get something a little bit different.
Okay. So is this the first time you've gone to Dragon Con with just one costume?
I'll probably have a few costumes,
Okay.
maybe three.
Okay.
They're not going to be as elaborate because it's really difficult. There'll probably be about 80,000 people there this year. It's going to be difficult to actually move all your belongings around. Um, Last year, I was the first time I went for an entire 4-day weekend, and it was insane. Such a great experience. And I went with my steampunk Iron Man, and Friday I had entered it into the Friday night costume contest, which was probably a 13-hour affair
Wow.
because that's as long as I had the costume on that day.
Gee.
I put it on at about noon.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the prejudging at 1. Didn't get prejudged until about 3, and by the time everything was done and the costume contest actually ran, it was 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Because I actually I won Best in Show Journeyman with it, so it was totally worth it for me. And then I just left the costume on after that. It was a pretty big success. Everybody really enjoyed it. And I had it on till like 1 in the morning. I didn't even realize how long I had it on. So
So was that adrenaline that just got you through it?
probably, yeah. And I probably worked for about another 12 hours that following Saturday. I had brought a couple other costumes, my steampunk Mad Hatter that I have, um, and a couple just light costumes that were just some easy stuff. They didn't have a lot of props. And I really didn't wear them that much. It was pretty much just Iron Man. So I figured this year it'll pretty much just be the Black Lantern that I'll be wearing. I have a lot of people that have been bugging me to bring Iron Man again because I completely rebuilt it. And I wore it at MomoCon a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
But the amount of props and bringing both of these costumes at the same time, I wouldn't. I would literally need. I would need probably a few guys to have to carry my stuff to the room. Just with the amount of people there, it's hard to do.
Yeah, especially with the fact that there's absolutely no elevators because
Well,
they're
yeah,
always
that
packed.
too. I mean, you don't want to get there any later than Thursday afternoon because then it's too crazy to move out of stuff.
Yeah.
Getting in and getting out wasn't too bad. I have if you can believe this, a 60-gallon Rubbermaid container that it's on wheels, and I pretty much just pack it full of whatever I have. It fit Iron Man and all my stuff last year. It'll probably fit most of this stuff, although some of the props are a little bigger now. I might have to carry a few things. But if a lot of I can haul that around when it weighs about 60 pounds full, that's enough luggage for me. I don't want to have another trip to worry about or another piece.
I don't blame you. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So how long have you been cosplaying for?
I started cosplaying in 2008. Uh,
Okay.
had really just a small inclination of what it was. I had done a few elaborate costumes as far back as 2006 for Halloween. That's
Hmm.
kind of when Toonami was real popular. Naruto and Bleach had come out, was a huge hit, and I was watching that show. And I cosplayed Bleach character and also Kakashi from Naruto back to back 2006, 2007 for Halloween. And then by 2008, sort of got into it. I went to a small con in South Carolina. I wasn't serious about it though. It was more of was building costumes from buying pieces online or closet costumes, putting stuff together. Some of my earlier works I don't like to show because I'm kind of embarrassed of them now. But by 2010, I met a friend while I was in grad school, and she was still in undergrad, and we decided to go to Anime Week in Atlanta uh,
Mm.
that following fall. This was in the spring, and we were planning costumes, and at that time we decided we were going to do a group project. We were going to do a show that was popular that year, Black Butler.
Hmm.
I was going to be Sebastian, one of the main characters. She was going to be CL, another one of the main characters. And this was pretty much my first real serious costume. Involved a whole lot of sewing. A lot of the stuff was made from scratch. We ended up getting everything together. Went to the show. EWA that year was probably around 9,000 people. I thought it was enormous, but that's the biggest thing I've ever seen up until that point. Uh, we did really well. We ended up winning Best in Show Novice in the costume contest there, and
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of hooked. I've been doing contests whenever I can ever since.
Cool. So like which conventions do you are like a must go to for you every year?
AWA, because that was the one that got me started.
Hmm.
I've been to it every year since, and this year I was asked to be one of the guest judges for the costume contest at it this year, which is kind of neat.
Awesome.
So it's got, after just 4 years of winning Best Novice, it's kind of a nice thing to get asked to be. And it's their 20th anniversary year this year too. And see, last year they actually had about 18,000 people, so you can see how big the growth of the conventions are starting to get. Um,
Awesome.
I like to go to AnacroCon. It's actually a steampunk convention in Atlanta. It is in usually February of each year. It's a lot of fun. It's more of an adult con,
Hmm.
smaller knit. Being steampunk, you're only going to get a few thousand people. Uh,
Right.
the neat thing is everybody knows each other, which is kind of nice. Also now, because I've gotten hooked since last year, Dragon Con definitely a must for me. I'm about 5 hours from Atlanta. I haven't really traveled. I'm about 4 hours from the Charlotte cons, but I haven't really gone to any of those yet. Charlotte and Raleigh, but might have to try that. And now MomoCon. I think MomoCon's on my list now. It's a nice little spring con before summer starts.
I hear really good things about MomoCon.
It was fun this year. A lot of people. I think they were claiming somewhere around 15,000 or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty big this year. I had some friends from Charleston where I live that went last year, so it was really great. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun this year. Did the costume contest again.
Hmm.
It is a duo. So I have pictures on my webpage. A friend of mine from Nashville, name's Josh. He goes by Kami House Cosplay. We decided to do a duo group, just the two of us, Anna and Elsa as males, gender bend from Frozen. And I was Elsa, he was Anna, which worked out well because his personality is even more outgoing than mine, which is kind of crazy, all over the place. So we kind of just were able to stay in character naturally for it. I just walked around embarrassed at him the whole time. Froze his heart a couple of times too, but it was a great hit. It really, people seem to really enjoy it. It seems like this year is going to be the year of the gender bends, vice versa. So a lot of women doing male characters as they would have been looking female, and a lot of males doing female characters as they would have looked as males. So look for
Yeah.
that Dragon Con too. I imagine there's going to be a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, there's a gender bent shoot at Dragon Con.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to have
Oh
to get on
wow.
that. I'll be bringing my Elsa, probably having to shave again for it. Dawn the blonde wig.
That is that is an aspect of cosplay that is growing
Mm-hmm.
in popularity. Do you think that other kind of niche types of cosplay are going to start coming out soon since there are so
Yeah,
many more people in it?
yeah, I do. I mean, gender bend I think is popular because it's allowing people to be more creative. Why I sort of gravitated towards steampunk, and I really wasn't originally in steampunk. It was something that I started to get into around 2011. Um, was that steampunk allowed you to be more creative? You were not just copying what a character looked like, and making their costume exactly that way. It gives you a little creative ability there. And I think that's why the gender bend's probably catching on, because people are able to take a female character and wonder what they would look like as a male. A lot of creativity in that. A lot of artistic ability would take to do that. I guarantee you there'll be a lot of niches that are going to be popping up like that. It's getting
Oh,
away from the same old thing.
yeah. So, who is a cosplayer that you kind of, I don't want to say idolize, but
Sure.
kind of look up to as like their skill level is something that you're striving towards?
Um, Gosh, there's a lot of people. I mean, I've made a lot of friends just in this past year compared to even last year. Made a lot last year after Dragon Con too. I still like I like to watch some of the big name people. Yaya Han still has my attention. She does such great work, and she's always been really nice to me. Every time I ever see her or talk to her, she always remembers me. Uh, she's pretty much been doing this ever since it was a thing, and
Right.
you have to give her props for that. Her work's great. She's a great seamstress, totally self-taught. I have another friend down in Atlanta. Her name's Amanda Wood. She's worked with, and I think still works with, two people that are pretty well known in the community. Harrison Criggs with Open Props, and Kathy Lewis, God Save the Queen. Uh,
Hmm.
she pretty much is seamstress and prop maker combined. She's great. She's worked with both of them. You probably know Harrison Criggs, probably about the best prop maker. Love his stuff. Watch him as well. Uh, Kathy Lewis, same thing. Best seamstress probably in the country, hands down, making these costumes. A lot of people in Atlanta. That's what's funny. Pretty much those are the ones I have contact with, see them at conventions. Actually, the three I just mentioned were the costume contest judges at MomoCon. and judged my costume and my friend Josh's. And we were sweating it because we knew that there was nothing we could get by prop-wise, sewing-wise, past these people. Everything had to be good. And we got lucky. It worked out. They didn't see our mistakes.
It might have been a little bit more than luck.
I don't know. I was pretty intimidated. He was shaking, but yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, I mean, these are the people you have to look up to. They've been doing it for years, decades. 10, 15 years. Started this, made it a thing. You got to keep up with their work. They keep getting better, and you have to sort of use them as a means to get better yourself.
Definitely. So, what advice would you give someone that is just getting into cosplay?
Gosh, best advice is to have fun. Don't make it seem like it's work. Once you start to make a hobby seem like it's work, you start to lose its fun. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't do it to try to get cause famous or anything like that. I love that term that floats around all the time, hashtags by it. Just do it because you like it, because you enjoy it. I still do it as that. It's a hobby. It's fun. You meet a lot of new people, meet a lot of like-minded people into the same thing. It's supposed to be a stress reliever, not a stress causer. Kind of important thing.
That is a really good piece of advice. I think a lot of folks, even people that aren't so new to the hobby, kind of forget that.
They do. They do.
Especially the closer you get to Dragon Con.
Yeah.
And and you don't have all your costume.
That's why you have to start ahead of time. I started on my costume. My Black Lantern actually started a week after Dragon Con ended last year. I've been working on it off and on, took some breaks on it. I ended up actually had made the top 5 list for the current season 1.5 of Heroes of Cosplay. I almost got onto the show as one of the new male cast members.
Wow.
There was 5 of us because the casting producer picked basically us out of a few hundred applications that had come in that he had interviewed people under. They picked 2 guys, and apparently the 3 of us didn't make it for it. But I have some friends that are on the show, which was kind of neat, and I've been keeping up with that. Then once I found out I wasn't on the show, I kind of got away from this costume. Started working on my Elsa, started working on some other stuff, started working on some prop commissions, and now I'm getting back to it because I just realized it's only half done. There's a lot more to do, and I'm looking at stuff that I've already done and said, oh, I can fix this. So pretty much the entire costume is going to get revamped in less than 3 months now. 2.5 months to be exact.
Wow. But I mean, at least you started it.
Yeah, it started. At this point, for how elaborate this costume is going to be, there would have been no trying to do this within 2 weeks or 1 week. It has a lot of electronics. A lot of the armor pieces are either made out of polyester resin or Worbla. And in all, the costume's going to also have 2 smoke generators built into it. So I'm going to be smoking as I walk around.
Oh
so
my God.
You're laughing at me for this. Why are people laughing whenever I tell them this? It'll work, I swear, it'll work.
No, I believe it's going to work. I can't stand next to you when you have the smoke running.
Yes, you can.
No, I'm asthmatic, and that's not going to happen.
These smoke generators are like E6. They are water vapor.
Okay.
They are completely safe. I actually have tested them with somebody with asthma. They were my guinea pig. They're fine. They honestly are because one of these smoke generators is actually going to be mounted on my back. This character has a skull-type face with a hood, and basically the hood's going to envelop in smoke. If you couldn't breathe this stuff in, I certainly wouldn't be doing it around again. But yeah, they've come a long way in these smoke generators. These aren't like the old fog machines that they used to have. They're small. Literally, they can be cut down to this big.
Get out.
Run off of 9-volt batteries. Yeah, they have. They have about a half-ounce reservoir on them that will probably run continuously for maybe 10 minutes. You just basically turn it on and off whenever you need it. That way you don't keep filling it up. Yeah, so I'll have 2 of them. One mounted on my person and another one mounted in my sight prop. His character basically looks like Death. He has a big sickle, Reaper sickle. The top of it is his lantern, as well as the sickle blade, and the lantern itself is going to be smoking as well. So, got to have smoke and lights.
Wow.
Unlike
So,
my Iron Man costume, I had the smoke. It had the same type of smoke generator in it. Uh, it also played music. I'm not going to be able to play music this time, so I'm missing out on one of my three things.
wow. I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm hoping I can get it done in time. That's the crunch of this. This is going to help me. This is going to help push me to make sure I can get it all done.
And we get to see your progress every Friday
Yes.
to and
Yeah,
we're gonna
I will.
I'm gonna be cheering you on. So I really wanna see this
I'll
happen.
actually change the locations. Where I'm at right now is pretty much where I do a lot of my initial fabrication work, cutting, a lot of the resining. Where I do my finished stuff is going to be in a totally different location, so it'll be changing. The background will change. I'll have the costume in the background on the body form that I'll be working on it, along with all the other props. I'll be able to physically show you all of them there.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is this the most elaborate costume you've ever done?
It's probably on par with Iron Man. Uh,
Okay.
Iron Man, it's going to be kind of hard to beat. If you've taken a chance to look at my page where I have some of the build photos, the backpack on it did about everything. It lit up, it smoked, like it had smokestacks that actually ran smoke. It had integrated. They were not wireless; they were actually wired. Now I would probably upgraded the wireless speakers in the backpack that ran off of my wrist-mounted cell phone, and actually was MP3 player, sound effects, all types of things grouped to it. So I could actually play Jarvis through it. He would talk to you and things like that as I was walking around. Big hit, and you're able to walk around playing Shoot to Thrill from AC/DC in the Iron Man costume in a whole big crowd of people. You can't help but get looked at.
How did
Uh,
I miss this?
yeah, I had this. I did this Friday actually at MemoCon.
Oh
And
goodness.
last year at DragonCon too, but it was just so loud at DragonCon you actually could not hear it.
Oh yeah.
Speakers. And it also, this was the other thing that I had done, it had a 20-ounce liquid reservoir that I built into it with a little hose line that was off to the side of me where I could actually fill it with whatever drink of my choice and dispense it. I will be having all of that stuff on the Black Lantern. So I'm going to say it's going to be on par. This one has a lot more elaborate sewing techniques. Since Iron Man, I've learned how to embroider. I also started working with Warbler. The Iron Man armor, surprisingly enough, was completely made out of hat interfacing, usually doubled up. It would be about the thickness of Warbler, although it did not have its strength.
Mm.
But I'm using Warbler. The armor is actually plastic. It's much more durable.
Yeah.
And finding it's a lot more fun to use, a lot easier to use, although it's pretty expensive. But I have a lot more armor to be making for this costume using Warbler. It's going to be a lot.
Cool. So what would be your dream costume? Like what character?
Well, I know a lot of people have done them, but I would still love to do an Iron Man suit, like an actual movie accurate Iron Man suit. That would be the ultimate for me. It's something I know probably would never ever happen just because of the complexity of what it would take to make one of those, especially from scratch and with limited resources. I mean, you
Right.
would special machines, vacuum formers, and things like that that I just don't have access to build something correctly and pull my standard that I'd want. But that'll always be on my list. I know there's been a few posts online. I remember some crazy engineer had one that had over 100 different motors built into it that would open different flaps on the suit and light different things up. Basically, it was like actual Iron Man suit, except it didn't fire, any kind of weapon or fly.
Wow. I think I've seen the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was like a 3-month or a 3-year build or something like that by a
Mm.
engineer. A lot of time.
That's wow. You mean costumes I could get done in that time?
Uh, for me, about three. About three big ones. I find that my costumes, these serious ones, Iron Man to be here. I had been working on it for 8 months before Dragon Con. It was actually not finished last year by Dragon Con. I did not technically finish it until a few weeks before an ActorCon in February this year. So, I mean, it literally, I entered it in the contest as an unfinished costume. Uh, and I probably with Black Lantern, there will probably be some things that I will have forgotten that or did not get to it to where I wanted it to be, and it will
Mhm.
not be after the con. But that's just how things are.
Is it that you're striving for this like super high level of perfection, or is it like legit stuff that you just didn't get time to finish?
It's perfection.
Okay.
Once you get to a certain point with because I'm very competitive. Every costume contest that comes by, and if I'm able to go to the convention, I'm going to enter it with something that I have. Um, yeah, I've gotten to a point now. I've won too often on the lower levels that I have to enter in as master in any convention that I go to, and that these judges are going to expect a certain level of skill these costumes are going to have. It's getting away from, and it has for the past several years, just been a sewing competition. I have a
Mhm.
lot of friends that are excellent seamstresses and tailors and whatnot. Might not be very good at building props, and they'll enter costume contests. Not do well, not be able to win, and they'll wonder why I didn't win. Well, it's gotten to a point now that judges are looking for the whole gambit. They want you to be good at sewing. They want you to be able to build props, work with wood, resin, leather. I mean, it's the whole gambit. And they actually told us that after the costume judging at Dragon Con. It was a 5-person panel judging, the most intense judging I've ever seen. And the day after the con, where they had all of us winners together for a panel, there were several hundred people in the room for the panel. They explained the whole panel. He said, "This is where costume contest judging has gone. It's not just who can sew the best costume; it's who has everything, put everything together into one costume. It's props, it's all of that. So to be able to, be competitive, stand a chance in these contests, you have to be able to do everything. And one of the things that comes into that is electronics.
Mhm.
It's got to light up.
Yeah.
People expect that, and electronics has gotten to a point now. I actually have a friend who will be at Dragon Con as well with his Green Lantern cosplay. Um, he has built a lantern battery for this that it just blows my mind. It actually has an integrated circuit board in it that runs off of a magnetic switch, which basically means the lantern will light up. It'll look like a movie style prop lighting up green. He has a magnet in his glove that where his actual power ring is, and as it gets
Mhm.
closer to the lantern, it brightens, it glows. Because I mean, there's all kinds of things out there on the market now to just make movie quality props at home. It takes a little bit of skill, a little bit of practice. You know, you're able to do this. That's what it's all about. To keep improving.
So since the judges are looking for so many more things out of cosplayers, do you think that like armor and like straight up sewing projects should be judged separately, or
Um,
should everyone be grouped together like they are now?
it's hard to tell. It's nobody's really segregated them yet.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I think that that's probably eventually where things are going to have to go. Right now, I have seen they have some cons that are very large have separate contests for closet costume. These are
Mm,
basically people put stuff together, might not make everything, might buy some things, because you no longer can really enter a serious costume contest unless you've made at least 70 to 80% of the costume yourself.
right.
Some of them are 50%. So there's been a different group for that. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be the evolution of it. There's going to be armor categories, things like that. And sometimes these contests, in order to be able to recognize these people, they'll have different awards. They'll have like
Mhm.
Teamster awards or armor building awards, things like that, or electronic awards.
That I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you mentioned electronics. Is that a skill that you're like super proficient at, or are you just still kind of
No,
figuring it out?
I was actually in undergrad. One of my minor was mechanical engineering. So I grew up working on cars. Sitting in the garage right now. So electronics is always something I've had. Being able to integrate it into a small enough form that you can use it in props is another story. Um,
Mm.
Past 5 years, LED lighting's come light years ahead of what it used to be. Everything's pretty much run off of 9 volt or 12 volt now. You can integrate LEDs. I saw a few people at DragonCon last year that were using full volt LEDs that were taken out of flashes for cameras, big camera display stands, strobes. And these things they were integrating into like a power ring, for example, like the lanterns, and they would be bright as a car headlight, just blind you, but only for a few seconds because they could only light them for about 5 to 10 seconds for risk of
Mm.
them burning out because they overheat. So
Right.
I've gotten pretty well. I've sort of reached the glass ceiling of what I have been able to do with my materials right now. I don't like that. I want to be able to push to the next level, like what my friend did with the magnetic switching. I'm going,
Hmm.
I need to set my game up more. I have to research some more things. So I'm getting into like a little bit of you have other than just LED lighting. We also have like EL tape, EL wire,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's stuff that's on the market that you can integrate into costumes. So I've been working with that as well.
Is there a skill that you don't have yet that you want to have to use on your costumes?
I've integrated everything actually, even leather working at a small
Mm.
scale, making straps, belts, things like that. I haven't really made any leather working armor yet. I haven't needed to. Hasn't come up with any of my costumes yet. Pretty much just improving everything. I learned early on you have to sort of be at least moderately good at everything to be able to integrate it into the costume. I've been fortunate enough to catch on pretty quickly with things. Embroidering was my last big thing with sewing that I
Mhm.
had to try. Did really well with it. I had a lot of embroidering on my hand embroidering, mind you, not machine embroidering on my male Elsa at MomoCon. And I'm going to integrate some of that work into the cape, for example, on my Black Lantern. But have that extra thing to tell the judges, okay, this was hand embroidered as well.
Right.
Show another skill set. That's what it's all about. It's expanding your skill sets, showing that you're able to do a little of everything.
Do you think these are skills that you would have learned without cosplay?
Now,
Okay.
definitely, who sews anymore unless you're making something like for a costume?
Or if you had a grandmother like mine who
Oh,
would
I
force
did.
you.
I did. That's how I actually learned. My grandmother was a seamstress for 40 years. She worked in a garments factory, and I had learned how to sew at about the age of 8. But other than just hemming pants growing up,
Right.
there was no need to do much more than that. In 2010, she passed away, and that pretty much actually kicked me into making costumes. I wanted to see if I could still make the stuff that I remember her teaching me how to do.
That's
Um,
how I got into it too.
yeah, you see, it's funny. That's how a lot of people do. Um, my mother and father, I think my dad can hem pants. My mom, can't thread a sewing machine, so neither one of them really messed around with it. It seems like it was like a generational thing. A lot of our grandparents, grandmothers specifically, did that.
Yeah. So what has been the hardest part for you, or what do you think is the hardest part of cosplay in general?
Being competitive and always entering costume contests, getting the costume that I want to enter in done in time is always an issue. I like to pace myself and set up a schedule of how when I want to have something done by when. When I don't meet that schedule, I tend to get a little stressed out. That happened before MomoCon. My Elsa, uh, I was working on it up until the day before. basically Thursday before I was going to leave for the convention. That was a little stressful. That's not like me. I'm having a bad feeling that this might happen with me at this too because of work and everything like that. And trying not to get that into it. That's my biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I stress about is just getting the costume done in time for the contest. If I wasn't somebody that was going to enter it into the costume contest, it'd be a different story. I wouldn't be worried nearly as much. Yeah, you wouldn't care as long as you got it to a point where you could wear it, you'd be happy.
Right. Um, so that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
I mean, we're gonna have the next 11 weeks together.
Yes, yes.
So,
A lot of updates.
yeah. And I really look forward to seeing where this Black Lantern goes.
I am too. It's going to be interesting. When I get back to Charleston to my apartment, my boots should be in. I actually ordered in 4-inch platform boots, so I will be around 6'6" or so. Character's real tall and imposing, so I need to be tall and imposing too. And my sickle's over 7 foot tall, so I have to kind of get a little height on.
This keeps getting better.
It's going to be neat. It's going to be interesting. It'll be a fun build.
Alrighty. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll have more days till Dragon Con in the coming weeks. Alright.
Well,